Well, hello and welcome to today's episode of the Power of Your Mind podcast. You are listening to episode number 186. I'm Victoria Gallagher, Law of Attraction hypnotist and #1 best-selling author of Practical Law of Attraction. Align yourself with the manifesting conditions and successfully attract your desires. I'm also the founder of HipTalk.com and HypnoCloud apps, which gives you access to over 500 hypnosis recordings right in the palm of your hand. So be sure to download that app from the app stores. Today, I have a very special guest with me, Landria Onkka. Landria is a spiritual guide who is helping to raise the frequency of the planet one light being at a time. I came across Landria through her YouTube channel, which is currently approaching about 100,000 subscribers. She releases videos practically every day, which helps people to break through their fears and manifest anything. She spent over 20 years in the investment banking industry before quitting her job to pursue her dreams. And she is also an award-winning author. She has a television movie and she decided to become an online influencer. Her YouTube channel reaches millions of people with the messages on how you can manifest anything. She also got trained in digital business creation, and she uses her skills to provide online spiritual teachings and e-courses, in addition to coaching everyday people on how they can launch their own online businesses. Landria simply gives you all the tools that you need to help you manifest anything in every area of your life. And she can be found on landriaonkka.com. The spelling of that we can go over, and that'll also be in the show notes. And you've got to check out her YouTube channel, which you can access through our show notes on our website or by searching Landria Onkka on YouTube. So today, Landria is going to be sharing some of her insights on how you can move past your fear and change your story. So welcome to the show, Landria.
Thank you so much. That was one heck of a perfect introduction. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, usually I have a little help with the introductions, but this morning I'm like, you know what? I just really have this strong connection to you, and I needed to really rearrange this introduction and make it really speak to me, to you, to our audience. It's amazing how much we have in common, both being in the financial industry before moving into spiritual teachings.
Yeah,
And then we both like to teach people how to create their own online
yeah,
businesses. And we're both spiritual teachers. So
yeah.
it's
And
pretty amazing.
all of that works together because originally when I went into this and I had no plan or strategy, I don't know how you transitioned, but I had none. I just knew what I didn't want to be in and that wasn't working. And I just didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel with that. And, it was not in alignment with where I was personally and spiritually. And when I realized, wait a minute, what we do for a living and our personal, spiritual life, they are not separate. And I think we have spent so many years separating these things, and we go to jobs that we despise or that destroy the planet, and then we come home and meditate and we think that it's going to change everything. And I realized our world is changing, or we're realizing every aspect of our lives has to change. And then I realized that I can help people get out of those situations and still pay their bills doing something they love. So like you and we teach people how to do that. And then it's congruent with their spiritual side. And of course we always have to work at all of these things. So yeah, we have much in common, girl.
We definitely do. And I love the whole idea that, you can really have it all and you can really manifest anything, and, and you can help other people at the same time to be able to do the same thing. So I have my own story, my own journey, and we can talk about that at some time. Today is all about you. And so I want to dive right into on your website. You talk about how we can manifest anything. And you have a simple 3-step process
Yes.
that can help people to do that. Can you tell us a little bit about
Yeah.
that 3-step
Yeah.
process?
And so, when I first created Manifest Anything, I thought, that's a tall order. Is that something I should really say, put out there? And I thought, yeah, because I mean, we know certain people who've been on this planet that walked on water and people who have levitated and done, miracles. So, of course, yes, that was really a demonstration by many amazing prophets who've been on this planet and of what we're really capable of, yet we don't believe it. So I realized I want people to understand manifest anything means that, we are here as human beings. That is not something that was just imposed on us. That was part of our choice and participation, whether people don't like to think that because it's painful here and they want to think that they would never choose the abusive parents or the situations or whatever. But, that's a much deeper subject. But we are here for a purpose and we do have those powers. So when I say manifest anything, I want people to understand it's within the rules that we agreed to abide by as humans. And so we're not, if we wanted to do certain things and miracles all day and eat bonbons and never have any problems, we can do that in other places. But we came here specifically to take on challenges. So when I say manifest, I'm telling people that you absolutely have the power to change any situation. And there is a very simple method to doing that. And it's not what people use as law of attraction. I have a tendency not to say law of attraction because there's nothing wrong with the term, but we have this concept that there's something out there separate from us that we have to attract. When what I believe is we are absolutely connected to every probability, every possibility right here and now. And the only thing that gets in the way of that is our own thoughts, and it's usually fears. So I just am, as of by the time this is seen, my Tap Into Your Power series is going to be up and running. And that first course is called Total Clarity, because I had to add that one because I realized let's start with really understanding that you do really wield that power. And through the course and through my Miracle Circle membership, I come and I actually demonstrate to people that we can do some of these things and we manifest things. It's some of the responses I get are off the charts, amazing. And people realize, wait a minute, I'm doing this, when you get out of your own way. So total clarity is, if you're not clear about who and what you are, and I don't mean knowing your life purpose and all that, you don't really have to know that, you'll be led to that. Total clarity is an opportunity to understand everything's available to you. It does have meaning, and that all of it, when you understand that meaning, can transform into something so much greater. And so we go in and I demonstrate through quantum physics that you really are affecting everything in your life, your reality. And thoughts really are things. And we look at that. So I go through that whole course and, help people to become empowered with their tapping into your power courses. Now, the second thing is, okay, we come with a lot of baggage in this lifetime, possibly other lifetimes. You know this because you're a hypnotist. I actually do that myself. We're going to have a really fun interview with you on my channel about this. And that is, we're going to have a blast with that. And that is, yes, there are other places we've been, other realities, things beyond our imagination. And now all that energy comes with us. And a lot of that's reflected in an opportunity for us to work through it here too, which we call karma. And that can be cleared up right now. We don't have to keep going on and on with all of this. So the second step is break through fear, because I want people to understand that you'll never eliminate it here as a human being. It's part of our energy field. What we don't want to do is continue to react to it and think that it controls us. It is not something separate. And when you learn, total clarity, you understand I'm doing this or I'm participating in it. And so when you go into breakthrough fear, you just break through it and you understand it. It no longer controls you. It has no hold on you anymore. And that all those things you've experienced or you're afraid of, all of that can dissolve when it has a higher meaning, and you go into a state of peace, and then all the barriers move out of the way. They are no longer a barrier. That door is flung open, those big old boulders we have up against the door, all the mommy and daddy didn't love me and I'm not good enough, that's gone. And then you realize there's a whole new beautiful world out there. And then the third step is more advanced, and that's going to be coming out at the end of the year, and that is activate your magic. What does that mean? It's like, okay, once you know you've got it, you know how to use it, and so you understand all of this. You're not questioning it, because that belief, I desire this, but nah, does this really work? That's going to be the dominant thought. And so we wonder why we're not manifesting things. Once you clear that up, a fear comes up, you recognize it, it doesn't control you anymore. Then you get to activate your magic, and then you can start manifesting the things in your life you truly desire at the highest frequency. And that's when I came up with the Miracle Circle membership. So every month, we actually don't just manifest things. We do it on a high frequency, because, Hitler was a major manifester, right?
Yeah.
Attila the Hun, they were manifestors. They never questioned their ability to manifest, but they weren't doing it on a high frequency. Cause and effect is going to be in place in every thought that you have. So if your tensions are bad, or you use it for, not such pleasant things, the repercussions of that are going to be huge for not just yourself, but others. So we always go into the space of giving, openness, love, compassion. Really tough in these times to go into that space of, it's not all about me, and starting to pull together as a community and understand the power of numbers. Because as you probably know, transcendental meditation experiments have shown that we can actually change the health, the crime rate, everything, if we actually focused as a community on our planet and all the things that are going on. But it starts here. So I try to lead people down that path, and the responses have been overwhelming. I've got 5-star reviews on these courses, so I know it works. That's the beauty of being online, is that people tell you if it's working or not. And the stories have been amazing, and it just fulfills me to no end. It's a wonderful feeling to do that.
That is beautiful. I love that process. So you really get clear on what
Yes.
it is that you want.
Yeah.
You break through the fears,
Yeah.
which I would also say, like, the fears, or maybe those limiting beliefs that
Yes.
are keeping you stuck, keeping you
Yeah.
small, keeping you held back. And then you're able to, once you've done those 2 steps, because you can't really, the fears aren't going to come up without you being clear on what you want. Because if you're just
Well,
kind of
yeah.
bumbling around with
Yeah.
no direction, what is there really even to be afraid of?
Yeah. So you're absolutely right, because so the Total Clarity course is basically saying you don't have to understand the power. We always want, as humans, we have to have what's my purpose? How does this work? We try to put things in a box and define it. You'll never do that as a human being. It's impossible, because that's the whole purpose here, is for us to not be, know all that. We are part of that, but we're playing out a completely different role. But total clarity is not just knowing what you want, it's knowing what you are capable, and what that power is, and that you are not this body. And it's not just a human being desiring a situation or a material thing or a relationship. It's being clear on that I am totally connected to absolutely everything on this planet and beyond. That thought, that action, all these things, I am totally clear that I really am that power. And people have such a tough time wrapping their head around that. But and actually in my coaching, I'll give you an example of somebody just wrote me today, and it was just warmed my heart. And I was on with him, and he was saying my family doesn't accept me, and they're just horrible. Just his whole childhood just tortured him. His brother won't even see him because he doesn't accept him for who he is. And I said, so where do you think the problem is? And he says, well, basically they're horrible people. They reject me, and I love them, and I keep trying. I said, you keep trying to get them to think the way you want them to make you feel good. And he said, no. I said, yeah, you really are doing that. I said, you want them to change. And so there's no acceptance in that. There's no acceptance that they're coming from a place of pain. And that's where compassion comes in. And I said, have you ever thought that maybe your mom or your dad, and I'll bet you they both come from a very disturbing childhood? And he says, yeah, they do. And I said, well, then they've taught your brother. And I said, now your brother's going into this whole power struggle. And I said, and you keep wanting them to be different. I said, now, if you understand, and if you're totally clear that you picked this situation to come into as a child, what's the lesson here? And he says, oh my gosh. And he not only let it go, but he came off of a drink. And he did this like within a couple of weeks. He stopped drinking completely. He totally was at peace with his parents. He's launching his own YouTube channel. He wrote a book. It's now being published. He started the book obviously before the 2 weeks, and he's a totally different person. And today he said, my mother contacted me and apologized for the decades of horrible treatment. And I said, you didn't have to do anything, did you? And he says, no, he just let it go. So it's not just about what you say to people, what you do, your thoughts and whatever's going on in you. And you're totally clear that, okay, I don't have to understand why my parents are like this, but I know that my lesson here is so much greater, and I gotta let it go and feel compassion, love for them, and not saying it's right. I always tell people, don't think my teachings are saying what this horrible thing you did is right. They have their own cause and effect and repercussions they're going to have to deal with, and that is not your job. But yours is to be that higher frequency. And when he went into that space, I know that she picked up on it. She was totally aware that he had a major shift. And so these things aren't necessarily, like I said, the physical world. And it's a thought. And I actually test myself. I have a next to that lamp over there, there's a little thing of feathers. I don't see feathers ever, and I certainly don't see them here. So I decided that my thing is I'm going to manifest feathers. I do simple stuff sometimes. I did a dime the other day, and I specifically have a dime, or I have specific things. And then I let it go. You let it go. So there's no expectations, no control, because the ego tries to do that. And so I was walking out on the water here. It's absolutely gorgeous here in Florida. And sure enough, I picked up a feather. And so I brought it home, and by the way, I specifically wanted a black feather, and most of the birds here are white. Yeah. And so here was my white feather. And so I decided to do this a few days in a row, and every single day a feather showed up. Then I stopped it. I have not seen one, and I've been looking purposely, because you could say, well, you're looking now for it, which it's true. If you've got to be open to things, because you can miss a lot of stuff. But I've been looking and haven't seen one feather since. So I'm going to turn it back on. And so this is fun stuff that I play with. This is simple, but the truth is, and you know this, Victoria, it's just as easy to manifest a castle as a button. And we somehow don't believe that the universe doesn't judge anything. It doesn't judge if something's big or small. The material world, I mean, it creates planets and universes, so that big thing that you think is impossible is, just like you said, it's a belief and a story here. So if you don't believe you're that power, and that you're asking something out here separate from you that somehow makes a decision, oh yes, you're worthy, or oh, I didn't do the right technique. People ask me, what's a technique? I say, there's no technique. Get out of the way. Just get out of the way.
It's all about the technique is
yes,
anything that makes you feel that
yeah,
that vibration,
yeah,
that high frequency.
yeah.
That's the tech.
There's
Anything,
it's
singing,
this
meditating,
right. The
doing
vision
affirmations,
board.
whatever.
The vision
Vision
board
boards.
isn't what brings it in. It's the fact that you believe it and that you don't have a block.
Yeah.
So when you look at that house, so the worst thing is I tell people that you can actually block the very thing you want, because every time you look at it, you think, oh, I'll never get that. Boom, block, block, block. Okay, you'll never get it. And so it's really the belief. And that is not easy for us because the world supports density and negativity. It's okay, right? It
Yes.
does.
Oh my goodness.
It's okay. As soon as you go out in that space, it's a little scary. That power frightens people, and we're told it's bad.
Right.
So, yeah.
No, that's really interesting. And I love how, you mentioned that, so you would think about the feathers, and then as you were doing that each day you would see them. But then when you stopped doing that, it stopped happening. And you know what? I was having an experience the other day. I was walking with my husband, and like I choose to focus on various different aspects of my business at different times. Like I was trying to do it all at the same time, and it just wasn't really working for me. So I said, you know what? 2021 is going to be all about focusing on this one thing. Last year, I was focusing on another thing. And so let's call that other thing my book. And the thing I'm focusing on this year is my app. And so my husband is like, so how's your book going? And, because I've been doing really, really well this year with my app. And I'm like, well, it's in it. Speak to this. Because I said to him, well, it's kind of like a whack-a-mole, because like, I'll take my focus off of something for a little while and put it on something else. And the thing that I'm focusing on will be doing really well. But then when I take my focus off the other thing, it's like, it's like it's like a whack-a-mole.
That's quantum physics.
Yeah. And so it's like, how do we juggle all of the things that we want to be successful at the same time? Or can we,
you absolutely can. All things are possible, right?
Yes.
So it's not, but their absolute quantum physics proves that it doesn't exist until you place your focus on it. So it does affect whatever it is you're looking at. And so that is true. It does come into reality and on some level, whether it's material or not material. So yes, we have to take that into consideration. However, what I tell people is that they're so busy trying to force things and have expectations. And so they're focusing on all these things. And I said, you can go into having it all by focusing on having it all. All right. So think about this now as a human being. And this is where we get lazy. I'm going to meditate and I'm going to bring this in. I'm like, no, if you want the lottery ticket, I'm not big on all this lottery ticket stuff, but you have to get off your couch and go buy the lottery ticket. Right. Somebody's going to knock on the door with a winning lottery ticket. By the way, so this is the kind of stuff I do. I was walking down the street the other day and I saw a lottery ticket, which was that was weird. A lottery ticket, and it was in the street. It was scratched off, and I picked it up. Now, why would you pick up a scratch off lottery ticket in the middle of the street? Obviously, it was not a winner, and they threw it away, and they were just, trashing the place. It was a winner. Yeah. So I tell people, I said, I don't find pennies in front of my house. I find dollar bills, and I do this constantly. And it got to the point where my friends, actually, some of my friends were a little frightened at one point because they were like, what are you doing? And I said, what do you mean? They said, okay, every time you show up, really crazy stuff happens. Like if there's a drawing, it would be me. And they said, oh, she's here. Nobody's going to win anything. And sure enough, I would get 1, 2, 3 prizes. It was getting a little out of control, 2.5 carat diamond ring in the middle of the street, a pile of money. I just can go on and on and on because I wasn't asked once, if you go into that space where you're letting go, you don't even have to focus on anything because you are completely connected to total abundance, wellness, and joy. And so it just starts sending you stuff that you don't even need. I didn't order a diamond ring or anything, but I'm in that space. When I go into that space, it's just flowing. That's all that's there is happiness and health and all these wonderful things. And then I'm always giving too. So it's not about we always think we have to, schedule things and order stuff and whatever. It's just about going to that higher level where somebody calls you or you reached out and we're talking and I said, oh my gosh, there's some other things, Victoria, you and I need to do because I have not found anybody that I really want to work with on some projects. And I see you doing that. So that was a message out there for both of us that I wasn't actively working on, but open to. So
Yes.
I want people to understand it's not that if you don't focus, things aren't going to work out. It's going into this openness where it's just all going to fall into place and you got to know it and you just got to go with it. It's going to take you where you need to be because we are human beings. We can do just, so many things at one time. Action is needed. That's the whole fun part of being human is the physical action that we have to take. You and I both love to write and do other things. So it's fun. And I think people just don't understand how right now, with all of our challenges on the planet, how many amazing things we could be doing right now, because what we see is something horrible happening now is the total opposite. It's the dissolving of things that don't work and demonstrating to us that doesn't work. There's another way, but we have to find those solutions and create it. And if we focus on that, we will go into a new earth and nobody will be left behind, but that is still an individual choice.
I totally agree. I think that right now it's such an opportunity for people to go to that higher level, to create the things, to shift their
Yes.
focus, to shift into who they were meant to become. I mean, now the opportunities, they've always been there, but now people are able to now see the opportunities,
Yeah.
for working for themselves, for
Yeah.
they're able to see the opportunities for how they can participate in changing the
Yes.
consciousness, and it's
Yes.
really an opportunity for
Absolutely.
people.
Well, so this is a good point because, and I get this a lot on my channel because people are really frustrated with some things that they think are point blank wrong. And some of them are point blank wrong. Some of these things are very controlling, but hello, we signed up for this centuries. We've allowed this and all of a sudden we want it to dissolve overnight. It's not going to, it's going to take some time. And, a good percentage of the community has to be on board with that, not in conflict, but with solutions. So I tell people, hey, listen, if you're going to lose your job and there are things they're asking you to do that you don't want to do, is this maybe an opportunity for you to walk away? I know it was for me when I was an investment banker. I was like, my family died. I was like, what am I doing? I'm next. Even my brother's, he was only a year older than me, suddenly died. And I was like, at what point do you start to make some decisions in your life? Even if you're feeling, euphoric, everything's great. I have to get everything in check. And that world, as you know, Victoria, is not a pleasant one. And everybody glorifies it. But it revolves around money. And that was pretty much it. And you couldn't trust anybody. And that's not a world I want to live in. So if I'm contributing to that, then I'm totally responsible for what's going on out there. So you can't blame everything else and still participate. And somebody liked my comment on my channel. I said, if you think you're, that you are doing everything and, you can't change the world, I said, go look under your kitchen sink. I guarantee it's loaded with chemicals that you're using in your house and you're buying them and it's going into our waters on your little babies, when they shower. And I said, it's that simple that we can actually start making those changes. And so we have to focus on that. And I see amazing things happening right now. And maybe it's because you and I are connected to those people who do want to make a difference,
Absolutely. Well, because it really, if I think of infinite intelligence, I think of collective consciousness
Mhm.
as every single, all 8 billion people's consciousness, and that
Mhm.
includes mine. And so,
Yeah.
some people's consciousness has a higher frequency. And I think the
Yeah.
higher your frequency is, the
Yes.
more impact your consciousness is going to
Yes.
have on changing the planet, but we
Yes.
we all do it, and it starts within. It's not somebody out there. And I loved what you said earlier, when you talked about law of attraction, how one of the things you try to stay away from is talking about law of attraction, because it seems like it's something that's happening out there. And I really think of it as, we're attracting the next thought, we're tracking our own next thought.
Yeah.
And we're attracting that. What we focus on is what we're creating. It's all inside of us. The whole world is inside
Yes,
of us.
it is, because you're not this body. So instead of using the word attract, and like I said, there's nothing wrong with that, but attracting means that it's something I have to bring to me that I don't have. And I tell people, you've got everything. And if you get out of the way, you will get downloads. You will get inspiration, answers, that book you want to write, that person you need to call. It's all coming in there. But fear gets in the way, because I ask people, so what is it you're really afraid of? You're either
Mhm.
afraid of you're going to not get something you want, or you're getting something you don't want. You're afraid of it's, somebody out there is going to do certain things. And I said, that's all the exterior world out there. And that's not what we are. But it's tough because we're walking in it. And, this counter is solid, and this glass. But, when you go into quantum physics and you understand it really isn't solid, you just got to let that go, trying to understand it, and know that you have the ability to absolutely open up to whatever reality you choose. You can go into stuff that will freak you out in amazing, positive ways. I do it all the time. I'll give you an example. I created, for one of my courses, and I actually made this public because it was so powerful. It's called the Ultimate One Consciousness Meditation.
Mm.
When I did it, so what I want to do, Victoria, is I usually take you and we go out into that space. What I did is I remove us. I remove us, and we just are that space. And so I have you focus on the fact that that's intelligence right here. And it is looking back at you, and you're communicating absolutely with everything. And so it's been unbelievable for quite a few people. Well, the first time I did it, when I finally edited and got it together, first time I did it, I went into some crazy space that was so beautiful. And when I got done, I got back to my computer and I got an email. And it was it appeared to be from my movie producer. They don't write you in emails. And it was misspelled. And so I went, oh my God, this is a prank. Somebody's pranking me. My movie producer doesn't contact me via email, if at all. They don't even talk to the book writers. And I'm reading this, and there's something in there only he knew about, our contract. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is really him. And he said, I want to put you in touch directly with the head of the networks that is making these decisions. Copied her. I looked her up. Real deal. I wrote her. She says, yeah, I hear you got a lot of other stuff, books and things for us. I want you to send him over. I said,
Wow. Oh my
so they're
goodness.
looking at 4 more movies with me.
That is
4 more
amazing.
movies. And so I didn't project that, but that was a probability. And when I went into this space of just cool, amazing things, again, I don't have to attract that. What I did is I went into that space where they're in that space, that probability is in this space. And all of a sudden, my producer decides he's going to write me, hey, Landria has more stories for us, and we've done her movie before, and so she's great for Hallmark. My stuff's a lot of Hallmark. And then I told them, I said, well, I have one that's more Lifetime. She says, well, I do the Lifetime movies. In fact, she just got back from Tennessee doing a Lifetime movie, and I said, I got one for you based on a true story that's mind-blowing. And so this just kept getting bigger and bigger. And I just, Victoria, there's just not enough hours in the day. Sometimes I sleep 3 hours.
Oh my
And
goodness, I hear
I
you
love
there.
it.
I hear you there. There is like so much creativity
Yeah.
inside of you. And I cannot wait to see these movies. I'm inside the reality right now where this is already done.
Yes.
And you're going to be like famous.
Not one, yeah, I don't aspire for that, but but being a writer, the cool thing about writers is, you can walk around the streets and people don't know who you are. So,
Yes.
although I
Yes.
don't, I know you may have experienced this. I've been in like London or in West Palm, and people ask me who I was, or in New York. I'm like, YouTube wields a lot of power, and this is why you and I are online and teach other people to use technology for good. You can reach the globe with your amazing products, coaching services, even if you're an affiliate marketer promoting healthy things. The world's your oyster. And I want, why do people hold back? What's the fear that holds them back? And it's just some story that you've been told somewhere, because people will tell you're crazy if you go do that stuff. Well, you know what? Crazy's in style right now, and I think we're going to get more.
I love
We're going to
it.
get more cray because the world out there can't get crazier than it is now. Well, maybe it could. I don't know, but yeah.
Absolutely. I love how you help people to break through those fears. And it's almost like you were reading my little show notes here where I was going to ask you like what is it that people are afraid of? But let's just ask like so how can a person start to break through some of those fears? Like what is something that you can tell yourself or do or to just realize like we really don't have anything to be afraid of
Yeah.
because it's just kind of our ego. I think all those fears are really
100%
coming
are you.
from our ego.
But so I have a little puppet, and if anybody's been on my channel, they probably, I thought, I finally lost it. Here's an investment banker with a furry puppet, and he's the ego. So his Hacker T, it's actually a real, that's the puppet's name. He's a character in England. Hacker T is adorable. And I tell people, I want you to think of your ego is trying to protect you. This cute little dog that his only job is to protect you in the material world. So the ego, instead of, we think the ego, I'm fighting it. I don't want these. I'm like, no, don't fight it. Just ask yourself, why is that happening? Because somewhere this little ego thinks that I can be harmed or that there's lack and I'm not going to have enough money or enough food, or somebody's going to hurt my feelings, or I'm going to look like a fool or whatever. So it's only consumed with protecting you from the material world. And so when you see it that way, it becomes a friend. I said, and so we train Hacker T to like stop talking, and he tries to talk in my videos. I try to make it funny. Hopefully I get a few laughs. Otherwise they're going to come over with the net and take me out of here. They have to find me. So he's in the, and I'm going, no, I don't believe that anymore. I just don't believe it anymore. Now the fear does come in when people are dealing with the material world, my body, my health, what could happen to me, my living quarters, my money, that stuff. But I'm going to tell you something that is a tough one, but I absolutely ask people to just compartmentalize it and say, where did that fear come from? What is it I'm really afraid of? Because as soon as I let it go, and I realize if I do go into that space, Eckhart Tolle lived on a park bench for 2 years in total bliss, homeless, and he was never been happier. I don't recommend that for people. You don't have to go to that place. But that's what it took for him, because he was going to kill himself. And I tell people, sometimes it's the biggest challenges that will take you to the most euphoric place. And that's when the stuff comes. That's when the abundance comes, and the right person, the right relationship, and your world turns around. And then you go into where you're supposed to be without all that stuff that was holding you down. So it's the story. And you just have to ask that one question. Where did that come from? Where did this thought come from? it wasn't you. I guarantee you it wasn't you, because I always say, if I put you out in the woods and you grew up as the wolf child, you wouldn't know any of that stuff. You wouldn't know what to be afraid of other than the bear does hurt or attacks me or whatever. And so it would just be the basic defenses. So it's a learned programming, and we can undo it. And basically, it's not analyzing. It's really just letting go. Just
It,
letting go.
it is. And I had an experience. I don't really deal with too many fears. And luckily, but like last year, right around, when we were having a lot of like the riots and things like that,
Yeah,
breaking out.
yeah,
And that kind of did get that got to me,
yeah,
that got to me. But, really at that point, I started like asking myself, like, well, so what is it that I'm really afraid of?
yeah,
Okay. Well, I'm afraid that what if somebody, breaks into our house?
yeah,
And then I was, well, okay, so what about that? Like, put yourself in that
yeah,
situation. Like, well, what if somebody broke into the house? What am I afraid of? Well, I'm afraid that I'm going to have to face somebody point a gun at my face.
yeah.
Okay. So, well, okay. So, what about that? You
What if they
know,
pull the trigger, Victoria?
all of that,
Is that
it's
the
like
worst thing that could happen? Because if you
ultimate.
truly know what you are, you won't even have fear about that, because the tough stuff's being here. If they take me out, I'm going to go, I'm out of here, guys. I'll see you in the next adventure. Not that I would wish for that, but I want to just ask you one thing you just said. You did the what if.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think 99.9% of what we're fear never happens, won't, but it's more likely to if you're thinking about it.
Exactly. Well, and that's what so it's like I just went through like what's the worst that could happen?
Hmm.
And I took myself to the very, very end, and it was like,
Yeah.
okay, the worst that could happen is I could die. And that could end up being a good thing.
Yeah.
So
Well, if it is, it was not coincidence or an accident. It's programmed. And
Mm,
so you got to
mhm.
watch what you're fearing, because you can attract it to as part of your teachings
Yes.
to work past it. And we don't want to do that, because
Right.
you can attract it to place yourself in a position to have to deal with it and move past it. And we are ordering that too, by the way. That's what we manifest a lot of the time. Why is this happening to me? I'm like, you ordered it because you haven't mastered that yet. And when you let that go, that pain or that abuse or whatever, and you can forgive without saying it's okay, it's gone. And so you don't need that lesson anymore. And so you will go into a space where you're almost, indestructible in a lot of ways. I was looking at, I heard this other, a spiritual teacher who really, he's a psychiatrist actually. They were talking about EVPs, which I thought it is such an interesting subject. The things that I always watch are like the science stuff and quantum physics. But he apparently was in a situation where he was going to be killed, and people, by a group of people that were literally ready to kill him. And he said he went into a state of total peace, had no fear at all. He said he went into this euphoric place. He said, and it scared them so terribly that they ran away because
Oh
he
my
had no fear.
goodness.
And so that's that lack of conflict, right?
Yeah.
So he didn't, he just, there was no conflict there. And
It's
so,
almost like you
yeah,
change the reality.
the
I
frequency,
mean,
yes, you are, you're
yeah.
right. That's exactly what's happening. You are now shifting in a space where it's not a fearful thing, and it's affecting them. Now they can make their own decision, because we can't
Mm-hmm.
infringe on free will. If they want
Yeah.
to do it and they're intent on it, there's nothing you can do about it. But you can control things on your end that will affect them. Like my student whose mom called and said, and through his frequency, without a conversation with her, she called him. She felt that's that frequency. And we're going into shifting into a different reality where mom is going to say, I'm sorry, if she chooses.
I
And
love that you said that. I had a situation where we lost our cat, okay?
oh,
And we really didn't. We shifted the reality. It was crazy because like literally for 3 hours he was gone. And he's our little shy black cat, and and we had some people coming in and out of the house, and we had a story that he left. And then, I mean, we looked in the exact place multiple times, and then, and then we just kind of like
Yeah.
went in and I just did this prayer, meditation, visualization, whatever you want to call it. And I just, like I just had the feeling of like being reunited with him again. And literally, as I was doing that, in the middle of doing that, my husband walks into my office holding our cat. And I'm like, what the heck? Where did you find him? Oh,
Yeah.
he was,
Yeah.
hiding in this closet. I'm like, we looked in that closet 5 times. And I'm like,
Yeah.
there's no way he was in there when we saw him. We shifted reality.
You did.
We
And so we
completely,
we brush that off a lot, don't we? Like,
yeah,
oh no, well, he was there, we didn't see. And the truth is, this is, and I know it's tough because it's the material world and things are the way they are. And no, that's not true, because it's unlimited realities. And again, quantum physics has demonstrated this, that this is real stuff, that we can shift into different realities depending on where we put our thoughts, so we can get the cat to show up.
yep.
And how many times, and I know our listeners have gone through this, I think everybody has, where either there's a time shift, or that thing that you ripped the whole house apart ends up sitting on the counter right in front of you, or right in the middle of the floor. I had that happen. And I've heard these stories before. It's like, this is impossible. No, it's not impossible. You shifted into a different reality. And I love this stuff because I get excited when it happens.
Yeah.
It's like, this is so cool. We're in a holographic universe that is absolutely malleable.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I we could have this conversation for like hours.
I know.
I've learned so much from watching you and just from our interview today. You have so many different ways of teaching people. You have your app, which I just
Yes.
downloaded, which
Oh,
I
good.
think is so cool. And I think people need to go and download your app, which is
It's free.
yeah, it's free app. What am I manifesting? And I love it. You can just, you can program the app to go off many times a day, or once a day, or once a week, or however often
Yeah.
you want it to go off. And then you have your, the voice that comes on and talks to you
Mhm.
about, what it is that you're, what are you thinking about? And just really to help pull you back into what is it that you want to be vibing on. So I love that.
Yeah.
I think it's a fabulous idea. So people need to download your app. You've got all your books on Amazon. You've got some
Yeah.
amazing courses on your website.
And
Where would you,
what am I manifesting on the website is also free. And that is a series. I'm actually, when this video broadcasts, the podcast goes live, they're going to have access to the new series, where I actually take them through the tap into your power, total clarity, and then the breakthrough fear, and then the activate your magic, simpler steps, not the full courses, of course. Free email. I'm structuring it much better now to simplify it, because I'm getting feedback from my audience. And so that people can go in there and get a real handle on how this works. With every few days, they will get a video from me and a teaching and an assignment, which is a lot of fun.
oh, I love it. I love it. Well, I mean, you are so generous with all of your content. I mean, you're on YouTube every day giving people free advice that the quality and the caliber of your videos. This is the kind of stuff that you would, pay money for in spiritual courses. I mean, it's really, really good stuff. So it's
Thank you.
amazing.
Thanks.
And then your courses. So you just, where would you recommend somebody start on the journey with you?
Well, I would suggest just signing up for the Manifest Anything free video series, and
Mhm.
that within that you will get introduced to the Miracle Circle membership. That's only $29.95 a month gives you a whole month of training and a live miracle session where we get into online, we get into the circle and we just manifest crazy stuff. And we're trying to raise the frequency of the planet. And we go into that light circle. That's an amazing place for people to go because it's very inexpensive. The teachings are very simple. And within Manifest Anything, you'll be introduced to the different courses and things. So you can pick and choose what suits you depending on where you are in your life or how advanced you are with all of this. And of course, landriaonkka.com. You can go there and explore everything that's on there.
Thank you. Well, this has just been so enlightening and so fun. And I knew we were going to have a great time on
Yeah,
our interview. So thank you. Thank you so much for
thank you.
being,
This has been
yeah.
great.
Oh, thank you.
And
Thank you for being on.
Victoria, I can't wait to have you on my channel because I think I've got my own podcast that's launching. And I think we need to talk about the whole hypnosis. I think that's such an interesting subject. How does that work with the mind and where do we take that? So I look forward to, I hope that you will agree to do that with me. And I see us doing some amazing things out there for, in the online, the teachings, all of it.
I do too. That would be my pleasure. I would
Well,
absolutely
thank you.
love that. Thank you
Wonderful.
so much for being a guest on the Power of Your Mind podcast.
Thank you.